Hello, my name is Gavin Beatty, and this is my video to accompany my Capstone project for the Therapeutic Herbalism course. So for my project, I wanted to focus on a way that you could use herbs all year round and sort of do a kind of a tour of your internal systems and organ systems. Um, in order to sort of strengthen and tonify your body rather than trying to play catch up when something's already gone wrong. And I feel like this is a good approach because over the past almost 2 years now, something I've noticed that there are some acute conditions that herbs can work well for, but through the studies, it seemed to me like the most powerful use of them is on an ongoing basis, because a lot of them take a little while to sort of kick in, if you will, to begin with. Use them on a long-term basis as tonics in order to prevent any sort of breakdown as much as you can, at least to begin with. So the way I've decided to organize that is using a system um, of organs, elements, and seasonal correspondence, which you can find in some Taoist writings. And the reason I chose that, the reason I chose Taoist to begin with is that it's something I've been interested in for a few years now and have um, done a fair amount of reading on. And it also just give somebody who wants to follow this a very wide and deep amount of existing knowledge out there if they choose to pursue it as a larger sort of lifestyle. I hesitate to say lifestyle, like a lifestyle, and also sort of way of engaging with reality if they want. And also, it just, when you're going about saying, hey, take a bunch of herbs to sort of tone up the inside of your body, it's also helpful to have some sort of guidance around how to do that and something to work with that tells you why you might want to do it in this particular way in the first place. So that brings us to what exactly my project is. And basically, the first part talks a little bit about the way the internal organs are talked about. And most things are talked about in terms of internal energy and yin and yang. Just as a very brief discussion about what that means, and basically just it's the amount of internal energy that your body runs on. You can call it bioelectricity if you want it. You can call it chi or prana or whatever your particular worldview would prefer to, whatever lens you want to look at it through, that's fine. But in this system, it's chi, energy, yin and yang. Yang, like if your body's yang, it has an overabundance of energy, and you might think that's good, but it's not actually. And if it has very little energy, like for example, you're sick or you're super tired or something, that would be in like a yin state where it's a very low energy. And having slightly lower energy is often considered good because having really high energy puts stress on your body. And if you're running like that for kind of running hot for too long, you're going to put a lot of wear and tear on your organs and just on your whole nervous system and everything. And the idea is that most people kind of run a little bit yang to begin with, a little bit too much energy, a little bit too high strung, you might say. And so a lot of the focus is on kind of bringing that down a little bit into a more manageable and more sustainable way. Now, and the way I sort of tackle that is to have throughout the whole year of different formulas and tonics. There's tonics and teas, etc. Is to say we're going to want to deal with stress and sort of our general kind of way that we approach the world and our sort of base level of either fight or flight or rest and digest. And to do that, I suggest using adaptogen and a nervine tonic. And I've picked German chamomile and reishi mushrooms. So that's Matricaria resutita, I hope I'm saying that right, and Ganoderma lucidum. And the reason I chose them is because the German chamomile is a tasty tea and it's enjoyable to have. And you can even have it cold in the summer so that you're not overheating yourself when you're already kind of hot. And this is also the one mushroom that I've used in the whole year. And reishi is just a wonderful adaptogenic mushroom that you can take in pill form, not like a capsule. And that's just sort of an easy thing to throw in at the beginning of the day. There's a lot of tinctures and teas throughout the year, so I thought having a couple things just be in a more quickly, easily taken form so that you don't have to, you're not drinking 20 pints of water a day. So having that throughout the whole year is calming and and just helps you handle the stresses of life so that your digestive tract isn't always in kind of a fight or flight mode and it gets all the blood that it needs and it can do its job of taking up the nutrients without being kind of in a 1 foot in, 1 foot out fight or flight sort of feeling a lot of the time. I've paired those two with the earth element. So all of the organs are connected to different elements. And for the earth, it's kind of your whole digestive tract, and that's going to be important for the whole year because everything that we take in it only works as well as your ability to absorb it will let it work. So with earth, I chose you want to be in a rest and digest kind of mode or geared towards being in that mode. And you also want to support digestion, which Metricaria resutita does, the German chamomile. It eases the entire digestive tract, which is great, and it's kind of what you need the whole year round. And the reason Earth goes into the whole year is because in this system there are 5 elements, but we obviously just have 4 seasons. So if we block the seasons out into 3 months each, but we make them lunar months, which is just 28 days instead of the sort of 30-31 thing that we usually have going on, that by the end of the year that leaves an extra month. And so that extra month is the Earth month. And that Earth month is spread out over the whole year. And the way they say it is it's in the week between each of the seasons constitutes the Earth month, and the Earth's time is really just the present moment and being grounded in where you are right now. And that's also supported by the Nervine tonic and being comfortable with where you are in a relaxed state. And the adaptogen supports that by allowing you to handle whatever stresses without shifting your state into a more alarmed than it needs to be. I mean, if you run into a bear in the woods, it makes sense to be a bit alarmed. But if you have a deadline you've missed by a few days, you should probably try to stay relaxed. Okay, so moving on. So we're going to start with water. So Earth is the one that kind of goes through the whole year, but we're going to start our year at the winter solstice, our year of teas and tonics. And it starts with water. The elemental water is cold, and it's sort of hidden, and it's very quiet, and it's the sort of extreme yin. There's always a bit of yang. If you were just entirely yin, you'd be dead. So there's a little bit of yang in there, but it's the least possible amount that we experience throughout the year. And the season itself is a yin season because it's cold, it's wet, there's very little motion. And so when your environment is already kind of yin, you want to sort of boost up the energy into a bit of a more yang state. So just mentions a couple things like dressing warmly and making sure to sort of take care of that part of your health. And then we have the yin and yang organs. Your yin organ are your kidneys, and your yang organ is the urinary bladder. So I've chosen a couple of herbs to support those two organs. And to support the urinary bladder, I've chosen Urtica dioica nettle. Sorry again about pronunciation. And it's good for removing residual urine from your bladder, because that can lead to having residual. If you don't pee out all of your urine, it can result in bladder infections and such. And also for men, it can help soothe early stages of benign prostate hyperplasia, which is nice. And it's also a very nutritive herb for the whole body. And for that reason, I've chosen to suggest adding it to the tea that the chamomile tea that you're already having, 3 cups of a day. So you just kind of add the nettle for this season. Add the nettles in to get the benefits without having to double down too much on how much stuff you're drinking. And the second herb I chose was marshmallow. And they're valuable for their high mucilage and starch content, and it's soothing to the kidneys and the bladder, and it provides anti-inflammatory actions to help them perform optimally, and that'll work well in combination with the nettle. All right, so moving on, we have wood. Now, wood is sort of the warming period. It happens in the spring. It's between winter and summer, between water and fire. And it's representative of the capacity for growth and abundance, and it's expressed in the yin organ, the liver, which of all our organs can regenerate itself. It has a massive capacity for growth itself. And the yang organ is the gallbladder, which obviously works in very tight conjunction with the liver, because it stores and secretes bile, which is produced by the liver. And so that is why we're going to have some cholagogues in here, because we want to promote the flow of bile from the liver and the storage and release it from the gallbladder. And that'll help your digestive system also in processing fats, because that's what bile does. And so first we're going to have Berberis vulgaris, barberry, and it'll relieve any inflammation in the gallbladder if that's present. And we're going to put that in a tincture, and we're going to combine that with a tincture of Silbum marianum, that's milk thistle. And it's well known for its ability to cleanse and protect the liver from the effects of toxins, including common toxins like acetaminophen and any booze, if that happens to be your thing. And it also stimulates the regeneration of liver cells, and it competes for binding sites with toxins, making toxins less likely to damage your liver in the first place. So we're going to go with that one, those 2 tinctures. You can put them both in a glass and enjoy them at the same time if you want, 3 times a day. We're going to be well hydrated through it this year. And next we move on to summer, and that's fire. So fire is kind of the opposite of water in terms of being the most yang element, and also the most yang season, which is summer. And so you're going to want to try to stay cool. I'm going to recommend making big batches of nicely chilled tea in this time so that you're not having to drink 3 cups of hot tea every day. I like having cold drinks, but it's also could be recommended to have just warm so your body doesn't have to work too hard to warm up the cold. Now, so for these, we're going to go, so for the yin and yang organs. The yin organ is your cardiovascular system, and the yang organ is your small intestine. So to support your cardiovascular system, we're going to use Crataegus levigata, which is hawthorn. And so we're going to take the flower and the leaf of hawthorn, and we're going to have a tonic out of it. And it helps your heart function by increasing the energy usage without taxing the muscle itself. So it doesn't like make the contractions happen super hard or anything. It just makes the energy usage more efficient, and it can help prevent heart disease. And it also eases circulation throughout the body by being anti-inflammatory. So we're going to be taking a tincture of that along with tincture of Tilia platyphyllos, which is linden, the dried flower of a linden tree. So it has a relaxing and toning effect on the circulatory system, and combining it with the hawthorn hawthorn's effect is mainly on the heart, and then we're going to use the linden to support our peripheral circulatory system. And there's a third one, and this one is going to be fennel seed, crushed fennel seeds added to that tea. So this will support the small intestine because fennel stimulates appetite and digestion and can ease flatulence if taken before the meal. The anti-inflammatory property of licorice root will keep the bowels calm while strengthening the endocrine systems by providing some of the essential elements for endocrine system building blocks. So we're going to add that to the tea that we're taking all year. Now we're on to the fall, and the fall is metal season. Metal is the fourth element here. You might notice there's no air. There is no air in the system. It's metal instead. Metal is sort of the separating element. So it's your skin and it's your lungs are two of the big ones, as well as your large intestine. But if we're just talking yin and yang, the yin is your lung, and the yang is your large intestine. And you can see in both of those, the lungs have you take in air and you separate what you need and don't need from it, and exhale what you don't need. Same in your bowels. It's sort of your large intestine. It's your body's last chance to kind of soak in the rest of the water and salts and eliminate what you don't need. So in order to support that with metal, we're going to recommend, if you're smoking, stop doing that. And for the large intestine, one thing is we're already taking the German chamomile, which is, as mentioned before, good for the digestive system, and the calming effects of it do extend to the digestive tract, easing indigestion. For the lungs, we're going to take Verbascum thapsus, mullein. And because of its anti-inflammatory and demulcent properties, mullein protects and soothes the respiratory membranes of the lungs and trachea. And it's in this season, it's a little bit more about the do not. So just try to stay away from breathing in harsh chemicals, any sort of particulate matter, and just kind of enjoy the cooling down and sort of that feeling of more freshness in the air that comes on as summer leaves us and winter begins. And when that's done and you get back to the end of your 1 year, you can kind of see what you like most and take that on. And maybe you can continue taking some of these. Like, for example, hawthorn is good for a long-term tincture. Or if you found that you're calmer and you're enjoying the German chamomile, you can keep that up, take a little break, get back to it, whatever you like. Anyway, I hope this has been somewhat informative, at least a little bit. And yeah, thanks for the time and attention.